Hello there, George.
Hey, Ann, how are ya?
Very good, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. How's the raw veganism going?
It's been going all right. Yeah, we've hit the first day, on the second day now, and it's going well. I feel light, fresh, full of energy, so not too bad at all. All right. But let's. So I wanted to ask you another question today. You're obviously our vegan guru here, so we wanted to put the questions across to you, and this is for anyone who wants to go vegan. But there's obviously going to be some conflicts, internal dialogue going on, and what's going to be the challenges that you face. So I wanted to ask you, what challenges did you face when you first went vegan, and what cravings or anything like that did you have?
In all honesty, I think the challenges that I faced when first going vegan were more sort of social things, I think people are the hardest thing about first going vegan, because it's almost like coming out when you tell your parents or something. I'm trivialising things.
No, you are right. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Gay people have to come out, but I mean it's sort of that thing. But what I'm saying is, what will happen is when you sort of for the first time tell your family, mum, dad, this is just coming out of nowhere, by the way. I've decided I'm going to go vegan. I am vegan. You will get bombarded with a load of ridiculous questions, concerns that you will need to address and stuff, because naturally family members are concerned about things that they're not familiar with, right? It's new territory for them. And people, especially of our parents' generation, the vegans they know of are just skinny hippies that they met maybe one or two of them back in the 70s or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I feel so. You mean there's this new wave of vegans that are coming out, and I think that there's going to be, we can kind of divide it into sections. I think there'd be people who do it for the health benefits. Probably a lot of people seeing that the more meat products and other rubbish we eat is causing adverse effects on the health, so they would maybe choose to go vegetarian or even vegan for that reason. And the others, if we put it into those two boxes, the others will be because of animals. It's not on, basically, So I think that people will come to two conclusions. One would be for health benefits. One would be for the animal rights. If you want to just put it into that's the tagline for it. So, what would you say to the people going vegan who do it for the reason of? Let's do the animal rights reason first.
So what would I say to them about what are the hardest things going vegan for animal rights?
Yeah, because I assume those people would have a bit more clue, but they would be able to talk back a lot more. They would have done it out of researching that side of things. Rather they would research animal rights. Those are the people who are more going to get that backlash, like you're talking about, questions. Yes, it's not health reason. They're
going to get what we call cognitive dissonance, right? Which is a psychological phenomenon that I think was first described by a psychologist called Leon Festinger. And it's when people have conflicting ideas in their head and they get uncomfortable because they hear these ideas presented. Because the moment you talk to someone and you find out they're vegan, never do you become more aware in that moment that you pay for violence towards animals. And what you think of that person automatically to tell you I'm vegan is you think this person is perhaps living in a way that maybe I should be as well. So new vegans who are vegans for the ethical reasons, they are going to get that sort of cognitive dissonance fueled meltdown from people. People are going to start saying shit that they've never even said before or would not say as part of any other conversation. People are going to talk to you about plants feeling pain. People are going to be justifying doing one thing on the basis that lions do it. Things that you just wouldn't hear as part of any other conversation. I'll give you an example. For the 23 years before I went vegan, not once did I even hear the idea that plants suffer. So when I first heard it, after I told someone I was a vegan. You know, I thought it was just like this crazy little one-off. I think I went home that day, I think it was like at work or something, and I was like, can't believe someone actually said, yeah, what about plants though? You killing them, they suffer and blah, blah, blah. I was thinking, what a crazy thing, you know. What a one-off. Luckily, I'll never hear that again. Boy, was I wrong. Everyone, even though I've never heard that idea in my life before going vegan, everyone turned into a plant rights activist.
Yeah.
It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, you're right, mate. There's lots of people who are now. I think it's like this human way of dealing, like you said, like, you know, people have cognitive dissonance. They have this conflict inside them, and they like make up. They go, all right, so this person is doing something because of the feelings of another being. It's like, well, plants are a being, so I can switch the argument back to them. It's like, it's not about, they don't care about the plant's rights or the plant's feelings. They care about being the best in the argument, one-upping you. So they turn your argument against you, and that's obviously a struggle that's caught on, or that's a method that's caught on with meat eaters to defend themselves.
Yeah, of course. It's sort of a momentary thing, and they'll say, and the things they say, they're just excuses to make them feel comfortable about what they're doing. It might be subconscious; they might not realise they're doing it. But the human brain is very powerful at entertaining a lie. People will very easily convince themselves that what they're saying is somehow true, because everyone likes to think they're ethical, but they're not. Everyone likes to think they are, but boy do they hate it when they meet someone who's living in a more ethical way than they are. And I'll just make this clear as well, for anyone who goes, oh, but vegans aren't living in a more ethical way, there's no difference, blah, blah, blah. What an absurd argument. How can you possibly say that supporting the gassing, stabbing and rape of 150 billion sentient beings every single year is the moral equivalent of simply not doing it at all? What an absurd argument to even say that it's just the same, and just, you know, and to say, you know, vegans aren't living in a better way than non-vegans. Yeah,
very good point. That's definitely a very, very good point. Right, so to go back now, let's go to people who make the decision to go vegan because of health reasons. What would you say to those people?
Well, firstly, I would say, I'll make something very clear as well. If someone goes vegan, like the speech marks, solely for health reasons, I would say that's not being vegan. I would call that plant-based. I think veganism, we do veganism for the animals, right? The health benefits is a great bonus. You're going to have lower rates of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and then you're going to lower your chances of them. You know, there's a difference between people who are saying advice for people who are talking about the health benefits of veganism. Is simply do your research and be scientific, because it's all well and good just saying you're doing something because you saw a cool blog somewhere or something like that and it said, hey, you can lose weight by doing this and blah blah blah. It's
so maybe the people who are going to go vegan because of health reasons will inevitably have to turn and look at the animal side of things, or the conscious side of things, purely because they go hand in hand in a way. You know, you're not being vegan, you're just adopting a plant-based diet. Being vegan is taking into consideration the animals as well.
Exactly.
In all forms, like clothes and products, hair products, things like that.
Exactly. Let's be clear, veganism is not a diet. Veganism is a moral obligation. It's just something every good person should do. If someone doesn't eat dogs, if someone doesn't pay someone to mutilate cats, if someone doesn't pay someone to rip the testicles off of horses, we don't say that's a diet. We don't say they're being religious. We don't say they've joined a cult. We don't even call it a lifestyle or a way of life. It's just a moral obligation that you don't pay people to stab cats. Guess what? It's also a moral obligation you don't pay people to stab pigs. Yeah. So that's why someone who's just doing it for health reasons obviously isn't a vegan. But as you say, it goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand, because when you're doing these things, these people will be forced to address the ethical issues, because they are doing something better, though probably not intentionally, for the animals. So they are probably going to feel good about that. They're probably going to think, well, you know, I'm causing less suffering to animals and stuff by leaving them off my plate. How about I also look, you know, this makes me feel good. How about I also look into the stuff to do with clothing, animal tested products, hair products and stuff like that. So if you go plant-based, I'm not going to fully condemn you because you may well lead onto full veganism. And it's better than doing literally nothing.
But it's just, it's a step in the right direction then, isn't it?
It's a step in the right direction, exactly.
Okay, great, that's great. So now we've talked about, I say that's the general categories. Obviously there's many reasons why you might go vegan, but those are the general categories why you would. And so, like we kind of started off on already, you're going to get the biggest issue that you pointed out is people are going to ask you a lot of questions. You're going to get a lot of chaff about, you know, plants' rights and, you know, hunting, survival, and this whole evolution story which we've been sold, which has no basis really, right? Anyway, what would you say? And you can make like a 3-point, 5-point, or 10-point list, whatever you want to do. What would you say are the main questions or the main points that come up which you have to deal with on a regular basis?
The first is animals eat other animals. Time, work, and I'll address that point. This again is just a stupid argument because again the people asking it, the people putting it forward, is literally the only thing they would justify humans doing on the basis that wild animals do it. There really isn't one single other thing. I mean, some people will always go, you know, would you tell a lion to stop eating a gazelle or something like that?
Oh, right, I see.
Would that person literally justify one other thing on the basis that lions do it? Lions also lick their babies' assholes. Lions also smother their young to death. Lions forcibly penetrate lionesses. I've not even heard the dirtiest rapist in court ever go, lions do it. Even an idiot rapist in court knows they would sound ridiculous if they justified the rape on the basis that lions forcibly penetrate lionesses. So
we have the whole, you know, I think therefore I am. So we are self-aware in a sense. Animals don't have that advantage, so you can't really. That argument is null and void. So we're saying
animals are self-aware.
Oh yeah, but to a certain extent. I mean, there's obviously we can say we have a higher intelligence. We are able to contemplate our position in the universe in a different sense.
Yeah, I can reason with, you know, that's another thing I would say to that person. You know, if we are talking about the intelligence or awareness, whatever, I would say to that person, a lion can't be talked to. While lions are fairly intelligent creatures and self-aware of everything, and they do have a certain sense of right or wrong, because that's evolution. We get morals as we evolve. Lions had to evolve morals in order to succeed in evolving. Survival of the fittest. That's why they look out for each other, right? That's morals.
Yeah. So they have a code, instinct, if you want to call it. But anyway, I mean, let's move on. The battery's actually running out here, mate. That dies very quickly. So you're saying point one is the animals.
Animals do it. Yeah, animals do it. So why can't I? That's one of the common points. Probably the most common point. The second one is, as I said earlier, the absurd idea that plants feel pain. The thing that no one ever mentioned to me once in my life for 23 years until I said that I was a vegan, and then everyone started suddenly being concerned about grass. And you know, a very simple thing to say to them is to just say, well, firstly, I always say to them, why do you trivialise the lives of animals by saying that? Imagine if I was to say that if we were talking about a human issue. Imagine if we were talking about the Nazi Holocaust and I said, what about broccoli? You know? And yes, that's exactly what they're doing when they do it about animals. And hey, I don't even need to make that comparison, because they wouldn't even do it for certain animals. They wouldn't say the Yulin Dog Festival. Not once has anyone ever seen a video of Yulin Dog Festival and commented on the video, plants feel pain. When it's a pig or a goose or a chicken or whatever, suddenly again,
It's again, people do it to win the argument in a sense. They want to come out on top, and they can't just come and be paying heed to this information that's coming.
Exactly.
So second point is somehow plants are trivializing the animals' lives by referencing plants.
Of course. Can I just add one more thing to
sure.
that before I go on to the next point? I also then say to those people, I don't think you actually really do believe that plants feel pain. However, if you genuinely do believe this, then you need to go vegan. Why? Because it takes 10 times more plants to feed a meat eater than a vegan, due to all the plants used to raise livestock, plus all the deforestation in the Amazon, because we're growing space for cattle feed and stuff like that.
There you go, perfect.
So I always mention that to them. Anyway, third thing. I'd say the third thing is probably appropriating the struggles of people in third world countries or icy cold climates. So people will just say stuff like, oh, not everyone can go vegan. Oh, you live such a privileged life to be able to even talk about going vegan. There's so many people out there who don't have a choice. In the Arctic, there's no vegetation or blah, blah, blah. They can do it. Well, what the person is doing here is just making a deflection. They're deflecting their complicity in the animal holocaust, basically. They want to remove themselves from the idea that they're doing something ethical, unethical. So what they'll do, they'll quickly shift the conversation away to people who live in climates where it's going to be harder to eat vegetation, or poor people. And they're appropriating the struggles of poor people in order to excuse their own gluttony. It's quite a sick thing, really.
That is, it's very true,
It's so cheap, such an underhand tactic, right?
Yeah, and like you said, it's like a deflection tactic. No one, then you're not talking about, well, you could still do it. You're the one who can still go vegan. You have access and you have money. It's all around you. You can go pick a berry off a tree and eat it.
Yeah, exactly. So when someone just says to you, what about people in icy cold climates? A quick thing to say to them would just be, let's talk about those people later. For the meantime, let's address you. Next thing people do when they throw up that you vegans need to be prepared for, I would say similar to that, it's to do with expense. So people will say stuff like, and I don't know how much this is to do with just generally being misinformed or whether it's just a massive excuse. I'm more, from my experience of the years I've been vegan, I'm more inclined to think the latter. I think it's probably an excuse. It's people will often throw out the veganism is too expensive.
Right. Okay.
And again, it's just nonsense, because if you think of the poorest societies in the world, what are they eating? Steak, lobster, tartar, caviar? Ridiculous. No, they're eating potatoes, noodles, beans, lentils, bananas, meats, cheese, things like this. These are generally the products of affluent societies, and that's why we call the diseases that stem from these products the diseases of affluence. Heart disease, stroke, kidney problems, high blood pressure. These are things that people in, let's say, developing parts of the Philippines or something, or in Africa. There are parts of Africa, there are tribes in Africa where there are no rates of heart disease. And literally none. The people just don't get heart disease. They eat a grain-heavy diet, lots of grains, lots of vegetables. Occasionally will eat meat when they can. Which even I don't think they have an excuse to do. Like people go, oh yeah, but they're poor, that's different. Well, no, I would say, well, what's the animal eating that they're eating? They're feeding the animal crops, so you just eat the crops. There's still no excuse to eat meat. However, what I'm saying is, they will just extremely scarcely eat meat. Like probably 95% of their diet is grains, potatoes, things like that, right?
And the rates of disease are just non-existent.
And people will say to that, they'll say stuff like, oh, that's down to genetics, oh, those Asian people in the Philippines or the black people in Africa or something like that, they just have lower rates of heart disease, stroke and stuff through genetics. But that's massively flawed argument, because you actually see that, say, African Americans, for example, have amongst the highest rates of these certain diseases of affluence, right, that we call, so because of like a meat-heavy diet between black communities in America. So it's not a genetic thing.
Yeah.
These people have the same genetics, okay?
Yeah.
And
it's probably, you got more in those sorts of areas because of the way oppression is in America. You've got more fast food restaurants, low grade quality products. It's served in the supermarkets and eateries around those areas.
Yeah, exactly. So